Hey guys, welcome to DC Unknown, where this week's episode we will talk about the JFK assassination. And joining with me this week, like always, I have with me
Is Devin.
Devin has joined us this week, of course, like always. So this is a topic that has been having a lot of talk for, well, since he's assassinated in November 22nd of 1963. So, Devin, how would you like to start this one off?
Well, so the official story of how this event occurred is that he was assassinated on that day in 1963 by Lee Harvey Oswald, and it was originally said that he acted alone, but had other ideas.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Well, I mean, basically, the reason why I think this is just like the Lincoln assassination, where everybody doesn't think that the main guy who got caught for it is actually the person. And it's whether what you believe or not. But Devin, what do you think? Do you think Lee Harvey Oswald did this, or do you think someone else did this?
I don't know. I've always been kind of skeptical that Lee Harvey Oswald did it. He was actually, interestingly enough, he was assassinated 2 days later
Ooh,
uh, because, well, official report cited it as a revenge killing that uh, they didn't like the fact that he assassinated JFK. So then they said, "Oh yeah, I'm going to assassinate you now."
yeah, I can. I mean, I can see that, but that doesn't make much sense to me. Because like, how would they have the information at 2 days later that he did it? And
Oh
if
yeah,
it,
he was actually officially charged within 12 hours.
so, wouldn't he be in jail?
They were transporting him to jail at the time of his
Oh,
assassination.
that's crazy, dude. But I mean, the main theory though that a lot of people think is that it was to deal with the mafia. And had a part of the assassination of Fidel Castro. And this one makes sense because even though Fidel died recently, I don't know exactly. Didn't he die last year or 2 years ago? So obviously
Yeah,
the
yeah. Let me double check on that.
yeah, because obviously the assassination on him didn't work, but obviously for Kennedy it did. And honestly, that could have made them more scared for Fidel. If JFK got assassinated, maybe they put more security on Fidel over in Cuba. But yeah, I mean, like that's the main counter argument is like maybe Lee didn't do it, and it was actually the mafia because they didn't like the way Kennedy was working, or maybe it's just some like Cuban mafia. That's a high
Yeah,
possibility.
and theorists have said that uh, was shot to be kept quiet. That they didn't want him speaking out about the fact that he didn't do it. So then that's why they killed him as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that makes sense. But like, what do you think they were talking about in some of the theories, like Robert Kennedy?
Yeah, Robert Kennedy. They thought that he had made him and his family an enemy of the mafia when he tried to take their power away from the Teamsters Union because they were uh, known associates of them. The Teamsters Union is basically one of the most powerful labor unions in the U.S.
Yeah,
And they, like I said, had known ties to this labor union. So when Robert, uh, which is JFK's brother,
yeah. Just in
tried
case
to
anybody knows.
remove them. Yeah, just to remove them from a position of power within the Teamsters Union. they thought that the mafia didn't like that very much. So, in retaliation, they had set up the assassination of his brother John F. Kennedy.
Yeah. And yeah, yeah. I don't know, cause didn't Robert Kennedy get assassinated, right?
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
assassinated a little while after JFK
So
was.
maybe it was all just like a link. Maybe someone, the mafia was out to just get them all. Because like Robert could have had the potential of becoming a president, and maybe that's like why they kept trying to, prevent them to do that. I mean, the big thing was the Cubans like were in a sketchy territory at this time of age. So I think personally that it was more the Cubans more than Lee Harvey Oswald, just because of the fact that the time period and everything adds up, and Fidel was on edge this whole time too.
Well, yeah, we were. I believe we were in the middle of the Cold War and the Cuban Missile Crisis
Yeah,
at the
exactly.
time. So, uh, U.S. and Cuban relations were not as good as they may have been otherwise.
Yeah.
So it's definitely plausible that they could have attempted to assassinate the president because they uh, usually when something goes wrong within a country or with relations with another country, then the first person everybody is going to blame is who's in charge.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. But tell me about this lawyer of Jimmy Hoffa. I think that's how you pronounce it.
Yes, so Jimmy Hoffa was the president of the Teamsters Union at the time, and he had a lawyer who actually later wrote a book on this. I'm not 100% sure what the book is called,
Hmm.
um, but he had said that Hoffa had requested the assassination of JFK from two pretty well-known mob bosses.
Ooh.
Uh, and then he eventually went on to disappear in 1975, and nobody ever saw him again.
See, like this one, like I feel like that's really sketchy that he just disappeared. It's not like he was killed or anything, because they would have found his body. He just disappeared and never was seen again. So, I mean, what do you think about that?
Yeah, the whole Jimmy Hoffa situation is pretty odd. That he did, like I said, he disappeared in 1975, and then he was just declared dead 7 years later in 1982. They never found him. They never found his body. So
Yeah,
it's he's just gone.
just
So,
disappeared. Now, here's a reach, folks, but maybe aliens abducted him.
oh yep, here we go. Here we
The
go.
the
Yep.
aliens abducted him, and that's how he just disappeared. There's no body found because the aliens abducted him because they were part of the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Or they were working with the Illuminati.
Oh, that's true too. So guys, if we don't come up next week with any episode, it's probably because we've been killed by the Illuminati or mafia or aliens. So now
But
we've
I mean,
added to our wanted list. I'm pretty sure the mafia is gonna be after talking about this topic. I think the mafia is gonna be looking for us now, headhunters.
we probably stuck our name on the Illuminati's watch list several weeks ago,
Oh
but
yeah,
we're still here.
we're
We're not
still
dead yet.
here. They're probably just hunting us down right now. They're probably listening into our conversations, watching us through cameras and stuff. But don't worry about us, guys. We're just trying to feed the information out to you.
How crazy would it be if on recording we
We got
got them like
assassinated.
pounding on our doors and then one of us is just dead?
I would literally cancel this recording right now and upload it right away so the YouTube world knew about us and what happened here and could check out our past broadcast and know exactly what happened. But Anyways, guys, on the more serious note, back on topic here. One of the mob bosses said to be involved in admitted guilt his deathbed, on his deathbed in 1987, and says he wishes he had killed Robert Kennedy instead. What do you think about that?
This is definitely uh, the most convincing piece of evidence to me personally is that one of them uh, actually admitted uh, to killing John F. Kennedy.
Yeah,
Because it's like why would you lie about that?
yeah, exactly. And you know, this is the main reason why I think it's the mob over Lee Harvey, is because the if you've seen these videos, there's this one lady who keeps appearing in the camera angles, like it's almost like she's following Kennedy around, and a lot of people have a conspiracy that like she had something to do with the assassination, and if it was just Lee Harvey Oswald, then it would just be like, that'd be fine. But if there's multiple people, then obviously a mob is a group of people, the mob or mafia, they're a group of people that are working together to try to, take down the president. And they could have been had this all planned out and stuff, like at their headquarters, and then went out and like she was one of the members, as backup just in case one of the guys missed the shot or something,
And then
We-
there's also the fact that there are several eyewitness testimonies from that day who said that shots coming from multiple angles.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, what do you think? Are you leaning towards mafia side more than Lee Harvey Oswald?
I don't know if I would necessarily say that I'm leaning more towards the mafia, but I subscribe to the theory that Lee Harvey Oswald didn't act alone.
Yeah, yeah. See, that's how I feel. I feel like maybe it was just him not acting alone, but also maybe we could have just got the wrong guy, and all together, and it could have been someone else or the mafia again, and maybe we just got the wrong guy. But I don't know. It's hard to say now because it's how many years ago, people. But I would definitely say I'm leaning more towards the mafia side, and you're being more dynamic, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I think it's possible that Lee Harvey Oswald could have actually fired the killing bullet, but I don't think he was there that day acting alone.
Yeah, if he was there, he definitely wouldn't have been alone. But mainly, uh, I think it was the mafia or mob. But to conclude, for me, I think it was the mafia that all set this whole thing up. But what do you think concludes it for you?
I think the mafia theory is definitely very plausible. I wouldn't rule it out in the slightest. I think it's there is a lot of good evidence for it, and like I said, with the mob boss admitting guilt, I think that's pretty convincing to me that
Yeah, that
uh,
really threw me
it
over the fence was the mob boss convincing or admitting to it because, like you said, why would he lie about this? How many years later? It'd just be like such a random topic because it's that far down the road where it's like, people still remember it, but like it's not in your mind every single day. And it's just like, for the mob boss, like to just bring that up out of the light all of a sudden, like how many, 20 years, 20 some years later, 24 years later, you know, that's just that's no coincidence to me. That's just like him admitting it. That's really also what pushes me over to that side.
yeah, it seems pretty unlikely that that many years uh, after a major crime like that, that
Yeah.
somebody would just come forward and say, "Oh yeah, I did it."
Yeah, exactly. That's what backs me up for that theory. But tell us what you guys think in the comments. I mean, this one's a tough one. This is probably the hardest topic we've ever talked about to like, because we're both skeptics on each side, are we not?
Yeah, definitely.
So like, I don't know. I'm still leaning towards the mafia side. After this episode, I was kind of on the Lee Harvey Oswald side, but now I'm leaning more towards mafia. Just everything just adds up. But yeah.
So join us next week.
Join us next week, guys. Tell us if you guys like these shorter episodes, because last week's episode was a bit longer. You know, I think it reached up to 40 minutes, and if you guys like the longer episodes, we can get more broad topics. This was kind of just our little test. We're giving a little test, you know,
Mini podcast
mini
time.
podcast. But yeah, if you guys like the longer podcasts, we can bring those back and just have more of those. But if you also like the small ones, you can also like this video and think of ideas for other small podcasts, small
We wanted to strike
conspiracies.
a we wanted to strike a good balance
A good
between
balance.
long and short podcasts.
Yes, of course. So yeah, keep that like Devin always says, keep the conversation going in the comments. And any concluding thoughts, Devin?
Yeah, this is probably a bad time to bring this up, but have we decided what next week's episode is?
Oh wait, tell them what it is.
Uh
It's like,
this is oh this is a DC unknown after hours moment right here.
yeah, we're both lack of sleep guys, so don't blame us on this part. But yeah, and until next week, guys, we cannot tell you what next week's episode is, probably because we mainly forgot about it. But that's not important. Just you'll see what next week's topic is next week. All
We'll
right.
just say it's a surprise.
Yep.
Even though the truth is that we just forgot.
Yeah, we both forgot. But till next week, guys. Later.
See ya.